Good evening, everyone. We would like to invite you to another session of a discussion that we tend to have started from modus operandi. And my name is Manish. I work with modus operandi, and I debate and discuss on various topics related to the environment and to wildlife protection. Now, talking about wildlife, in our last sessions, we have been talking about river dolphin, Gangetic river dolphin. There are the community aspects, but also there are certain points, certain aspects which are equally important as the protection and the awareness. It's more awareness about the laws, about the judiciary which is associated with this. What are the laws, what are the enactments, what are the rules and regulation that we got to follow. So in order to put some light over that, we have our guest tonight. Our guest is Advocate Bhaskar Thapa. He is going to introduce himself, and he's an advocate by profession, and he has been dealing, or at least he has been in contact with people who have been dealing with wildlife related crimes or any kind of criminal offenses. So Bhaskar, I would want you to go ahead and introduce about your work and what we are going to discuss overall.
Thank you, Manas. Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
So, myself, Mr. Bhaskar Thapa, I am an advocate, a district and session judge court Tinsukia, and I have
Right.
completed 10 years of my practice in criminal field. So, we have dealt with many wildlife protection cases in Guijan area, which comes from Guijan area, where this killing
Mhm.
and maiming of these animals and offenses were committed by the people. So
Okay.
I was also in Pune, looking after some works with law firms I got a chance
Mhm.
uh, to get some knowledge about Environmental Protection Act and the
Okay.
rules that are framed by the Indian Parliament.
Yeah, along
So
with the
let
corporate
me
laws
go through.
also.
Yes, along with the corporate laws, right, Manas, right? So
Mhm.
actually, environment. What does exactly environment means? Environment is a place of different creatures, both biotic and abiotic life. It can be. It includes physical, chemical, and other natural sources even. So
Right.
environment consists of four components actually. This lithosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere, and atmosphere. Now,
Right.
which corresponding to like rock, water, air, life, respectively, which resides
Mhm.
in the environment. So let me
Right.
take through the Environment Act 1986. What exactly the Environment Act 1986 says?
Mhm.
A decision was taken in United Nations Conference on Human Environment. So their main
Right.
motto was to improve and protect the environment from being hazardous
Mhm.
for the living creatures who reside in that environment. Now, the
That
main
particular ecosystem.
objectives, ecosystem, right, Manas, and particularly the main objective of this act, as it is one of the most comprehensive legislation you can say, Manas,
Right.
because this this Environment Protection Act actually deals with the protection and protection of the animals, endangered species especially, which are in the verge of extinction nowadays. So
Right.
it is also
A lot
called
of
an
them are.
umbrella act. Why it is called an umbrella act? Because under this Environment Protection Act, the other acts are covered, like Wildlife Protection Act, Forest Act, Air Pollution Act, all comes under the Environment Protection Act
Okay.
1986. And
Okay.
it is also this act is also called umbrella act because it has the central government has to coordinate with the state governments as well as other authorities, central authorities, by these
Mhm.
acts. Like, as for example, Water Act. They are
Mhm.
both for applicable for the central as well as for the state. So,
Right.
next topic I would like to share the sections of Environmental Protection Act. There are
Okay.
four
Bhaskar,
chapters.
before going to the
Mhm.
before going to the aspects,
Okay.
if if I have to say this to people out here, like about this Environment Protection Act of 1986, a lot of
Mhm.
people think that what is this act all about. It is available to you on the internet. If you want to Google it,
Yes.
please go ahead and
Yes,
Google it. You
definitely.
can come to know
Yes,
about
you
what
can.
are the details that you need to flourish, and what does this act cover, right? What
Yes,
does it
correct.
cover? What
Yes.
are the things that is it is
Mhm.
covering? so that if you want to do something for the environment, if you report on something, if you want to have any kind of legal aspect to it, you have to know these kind of acts first. So yes, Bhaskar,
Right.
initially we have started off with that, and I believe after a while, we'll do certain things in speak certain language in Assamese as well. Let's suppose some
Okay,
people
fine.
would be able to relate to it.
Right,
So
right.
I will also use some Assamese in between, just to for people to just to be able to understand in
Correct.
certain
Okay, I
points,
will.
or to relate, to be able to relate, because this is happening. We are
Right,
working in the northeastern part of India, and
right,
looking
right.
into that. I mean, we'll come up with a pure Assamese session later on. But yeah, I
Okay,
want you to continue on the next one that you were. Yeah, you can
okay.
continue on that one.
So environment sections of Environment Protection Act. Okay,
Mhm,
there are
mhm,
4 chapters and 26 sections in the
mhm,
Environment Protection Act, where Chapter 1's D1 consists of preliminary information's title to
mhm,
it was to how much it is extended, commencement, and definitions
mhm,
it basically deals. And Chapter
mhm,
2 is actually describes about the general power that is given to the central government, general powers and
mhm,
functions of the central government regarding this act. Chapter
mhm,
3 gives the
mhm,
central government the power to appoint officers, designated
mhm.
officers authorized by signatories to achieve these objectives. Now,
Correct.
it also gives the power to the central government. This actually, chapter 4 give actually the power to the central government to closer prohibition of illegal killings,
Mhm,
regulations frame under the environment protection, and they can give directions to the forest officials. They can,
mhm.
central government is the sole authority to control all
Right.
these protections,
Right.
environment protection act.
Mhm.
So now you might have heard about the Bhopal gas leak tragedy. It is
Right.
one of the greatest tragedy in Indian history.
Right.
So after this act, after this tragedy, the government of India has enacted this Environment Protection Act under
Mhm,
Article 253. Now, what means why it is framed under Article 253? It has to
mhm,
means this article says there must be a center and state relation in sensitive issues. Now environment is
mhm.
one of the very sensitive issues nowadays,
Sensitive issues. Right.
isn't it,
True.
isn't it? So
True. True.
this
True.
environment has been means violated. The environment has been violated. Environment crimes, wildlife crimes, environment means the people are going free hands. They are not been
Right.
booked by the
Yeah, we
law.
have been basically we have been trying to abuse the nature and the environment as
Right,
much as we
right,
can.
right. Exactly, exactly.
So that is
We
the
have, it
bottom line.
means day by day we are abusing the nature. We are playing with the nature.
Right.
So
Right.
it is strictly prohibited actually under the law of Indian, under
Right.
the Indian law. So
Mm.
one case I would like to discuss here, that Vellore
Okay.
Citizens Welfare
Mhm.
Forum versus Union of India. Here the Honorable
Okay.
Supreme Court has directed the central government to
Mhm.
constitute one authority for implementation of powers under section 3 subsection 3. This is the
Mm.
section where Honorable
Mm.
Supreme Court has directed the central government to form an
Mm.
authority like
Mhm.
precautionary, then keeping all notices all regarding the well-being of the environment, the,
Mhm.
because the quality of the environment is degrading nowadays. See, Manas,
Mhm.
degrading.
Mm.
It's degrading. It's
Mm.
means like
Mm.
deforestation.
Yeah. Every day it's
Afforestation
something
is
or the other. Yeah.
every day. Deforestation is going on
True.
every day in everywhere.
True.
So this, so the Honorable Supreme Court has framed 2 principles, that is precautionary principles and pollution pay principles. These are the main
Okay.
principles that has been framed. Means in the verdict, the Supreme Court has directed the
Mhm.
central government to frame these principles, these 2 principles.
Okay.
Now, let me take you through the penalties actually.
Okay. Mm.
Basically, everyone must be aware of the penalties and punishments and if a
Mhm.
crime is committed under Environmental Protection Act. So Section
Mhm.
15
Mhm.
basically
Mm.
speaks
Mhm. Mm.
penalty and for contravention of the provisions of the acts and
Mhm.
rules, orders, directions, as which has been
Mhm.
framed under this act.
Which is the
So
same, right?
anybody, Section 15 subsection 1 says whoever fails to comply with the
Mhm.
provision of this act or contravenes any provision
Mhm.
of this act shall be punished with an imprisonment for 5 years. with a fine
Okay.
of more than 1 lakh rupees. It may be extended to 1 lakh rupees also. And this failure
Okay.
continues, these contraventions continues for more than, for more than,
Mhm.
your, mm, more than a year, more than a year,
Mhm.
then it can be extended
Mhm.
to 5,000 rupees per day. The penalty will be charged per day.
Oh.
5,000 rupees will be charged.
All right.
Okay,
Mhm.
so these are all punishable offense. These are all
Mhm.
punishable offense, and imprisonment years which can be extended to 7 years even,
Mhm. So
or fine.
basically, these are all criminal offenses, right? So
Criminal offenses. Yes,
in very
definitely,
basic
yes.
term, if I want to tell people out here, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you commit any kind of environmental law, you're breaking it, that is
Mm-hmm.
and is going to be regarded as a criminal offense, and
Right.
you are going
So,
to be subjected to any kind of risk and any kind of punishment, any kind of judgment over,
fines.
because that has to be taken care, fines and penalties.
Right.
So yeah, I mean,
Penalties.
it's important for people to know that it is punishable. I mean, you could go
Yes,
behind bars.
punishable.
You
It's a
cannot just
purely a
escape
criminal
it.
offense.
Right,
Yes, right.
right.
You cannot be
People
an
are
escapist.
very. I don't know if they don't really want to know, but people are really
Mm-hmm.
not aware of it. A lot of
Not
people,
available.
like
Means, see,
they'll have the ideology. Hmm.
mhm. These acts are very much available in the market. Okay,
Right.
you can purchase it. You can go through the act. There's no harm of going through law books, right? Being an law-abiding citizen, being a citizen of India, you should know the law. You should know the
True.
Constitution of India,
True.
right? What are the
True.
safeguards? What are the
Mhm.
fundamental rights?
and and
Animals has
and
also their rights.
this is what I was when I interact with students from different background, from, let's say, from the environmental background, who are into photography, who are
Right,
into
right.
nature, who are into
Mm-hmm.
environment. I mean, they
Okay,
should be very much aware about what are the laws associated with this, also not only the research aspect or the photography or the
mm-hmm.
peacefulness aspect or the anything that you have else in mind. But
Right,
along with that, the law part also, you should be very much aware, because if you have
right,
seen something
absolutely.
somewhere, let's suppose you're a
Mm-hmm.
nature lover, you're
Right.
going somewhere, you see some animal
Mm-hmm.
getting abused, if you
Mm-hmm.
know the laws, you can directly go and tell the people this is no, you can take a video
Yeah.
also,
Yes.
take a footage as well, that this is not
Mm-hmm.
correct, and this is punishable, and this person is the one who's doing it.
You can
So if you know the
approach
laws,
near
then it will
relatives.
be easier. Right,
You
and
can.
then once
Mm-hmm.
you know, right, and then
Mm-hmm.
you can approach any kind of police station also nearby.
Right. Yes, correct.
Right,
You can
directly you
file an
have to go
FIR.
and because tell them, yeah, file an FIR maybe. So these things people are not aware and
Mm-hmm.
people are not willing to do, because this has something to do with the environment and with the animals. Who is going to talk for the animals? I mean, right. Usually that is the
Yeah.
mindset, right? I mean, that's okay. I mean, some cow is
Right.
dying,
Right.
some dog is eaten up, or
Mm-hmm.
done whatever. It's not our concern.
Mm-hmm.
So
No,
if something
absolutely.
happens to a person, also that doesn't happen. I don't know when is that awareness going to come. That animals going through
Right.
this
Right.
ideology, they're
People.
going through this phases,
Act,
right?
yes, actually, people are not aware of the law. What are the safeguards they have got? Means
Correct.
how they can proceed with the law after filing the HR.
How
Means
they can proceed with the law.
means law
Correct.
means
Correct.
yes, they're scared of means all legal proceedings and all. But that should not
Yeah,
happen. We
they
should
should
encourage. We
be.
should create
They
awareness.
I think,
Awareness.
yes, they should be aware, and they should be also scared of it, because the law is
Right.
to only protect who is right and who is not breaking
Right.
these kind of rules and regulations set in the, these are laws which run our our entire society. And the
Mhm.
rule of nature is like, a lot of people are taking it for granted. I mean, that is the
Right.
reason that we wanted to inform people. I mean, this is just the starting of a session about law. I mean, we cannot
Okay.
define and tell everything about environment law in this session,
No,
which
no,
is
we
not
cannot
possible.
cover up. Yeah,
Right,
not possible.
we
Yes.
cannot cover it up. I mean, it's a
Okay.
vast chapter, so we need to do
Okay.
multiple sessions. I mean,
Right.
in
Right.
this session, we are going to, as you have already highlighted, about two major points out here. The third point,
Mhm.
coming to the penalties, yes, of course, penalties people should be aware of, and there are
It is
certain
a.
other facts that Bhaskar, if you remember, we have spoken about. So
Mhm.
even when those points start coming up, people would actually get to feel. I mean, you got to feel it also. It
Mhm.
cannot be just certain technical thing in your head. If you really should be concerned about our idea by this entire video, by this entire initiative, is to make people aware that you can do something by just
Right.
sitting out there. If you see somewhere something is going wrong, you can just call up the police. The police can also, there's a provision that the police can also come and take your FIR, I guess,
Yes,
if you're
they can.
unable to
They
go.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
you
if
can
you're
you can
unable
call
to,
them. You can call
right,
them. Rather, you can call them and
right,
you can register your case against the criminals.
register your case,
There
correct.
is a
So
provision. There is a
there are
provision.
many ways. Yeah, there are many ways people are
Mm-hmm.
not aware. And in this session, we are trying to just highlight on the basic ones. In the
Right.
next sessions, we are going to highlight more. So Bhaskar, I
Okay.
will request you to kindly, continue in this pattern
Okay.
itself.
Thank you. Okay, Manas. So next, I will come to section 16. Not only
Mm-hmm.
people, but many companies are committing this type of heinous crimes. They are the
Mm-hmm.
great polluters, I can say.
Basically, they're
So
breaking the laws.
breaking the laws, they can be booked under section 16. They can of the Environment Protection
Okay.
Act. So company
Yeah,
means actually the
we know.
yes,
Yeah.
any body corporate or associations.
Correct. 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 Correct.
Okay. So it may be any individual also, the individual
Mm.
company which means formed by
Mm-hmm.
in a partnership farms and all, they can be also booked by under this section 16 of the Environment Protection Act. Now,
Right.
now I will come to the next point, that is section 17, subsection 1, which speaks about the offenses by the government departments. Don't think that only the companies are responsible for violating Environment Protection Act, but
Mm-hmm.
government departments are also responsible for that.
Okay.
In
Yes.
many cases,
Sometimes,
we
yeah.
have seen,
In many cases.
we came across many cases in means pertaining
Correct.
to
Correct.
environment protection. They have violated many rules and regulations that has been
Correct.
framed.
Correct.
So, so in that case, means I would like to highlight that head of the
Mm-hmm.
department, who heads the department, shall
Mm.
be responsible for all the misdeeds, all the means offenses that has been committed
Offenses. Mm.
under this act.
Mm-hmm.
Offenses, they can be booked under the
Mm.
law.
Mm. Mm.
So next sections I will go about the taking cognizance of the offenses. That is section
Mm.
19 in Environment
Mm.
Protection Act. It speaks about that no court takes any cognizance, shall take any cognizance until and unless
Mm-hmm.
a complaint has been filed by the central
Mm-hmm.
government or any authority or officer authorized in this behalf by that
Okay.
government.
Uh,
So the central government has the full
mm-hmm.
authority, or any officer
Any
authorized by the
officer
central
authorized
government can
this, right?
file
Mm-hmm.
any cases
Mm-hmm.
against any violators.
Right.
So these are this section 19 says that. And very important point of discussions I would like to highlight that, and the Ministry
Mm-hmm.
of Environment Protection and Forest Climate Changes has prepared an amendment
Mm-hmm.
regarding this Environment Protection Act
Mm-hmm.
1986.
Mm-hmm.
They have imposed a fine up to 1 crore to the polluters without going through
You
this
mean the corporate? You mean the corporate
corporate.
polluters, right? Big
Yes,
houses,
corporate
right?
polluters, big
Right.
houses, they have been imposed a fine of 1 crore without going means
Mm-hmm.
without going through this lengthy judicial process, because judicial process is,
Mm.
everyone knows it's
Yeah,
a lengthy process.
it
So it
takes
takes
time.
time.
Yeah.
It takes
Mm-hmm.
time. So currently, so this the maximum fine that can be imposed to the polluting industries and other entities is 1 lakh rupees, along with the
Mm-hmm.
imprisonment of 5 years. These are all I'm
Oh.
talking about your means imprisonments and penalties. I'm taking
Mm-hmm.
you through the penalties. Okay. So
Right.
the government agencies, first of all, the government agencies has to approach a district level magistrate, and they have to file a case, and then
Mm-hmm.
they have to uh, move the case. They have to take a favorable order against the polluter. First of all, first
Okay.
duty of the government agency, if they file a case against any polluter,
Mm-hmm.
they have to
Mm-hmm.
take a favorable order. Then they can impose fine to the
Mm-hmm.
entities, to the bodies of the company, or the directors, or
Mm-hmm.
any other persons or
Mm-hmm.
who are responsible for all these pollutions. They can impose fine on that company.
Mm-hmm.
So now, means as per the central government, in the year 2016, the central government has reported to the Honorable Supreme Court that they can only collect a fine of rupees 25,000 only per cases, because
Okay.
these polluters go free hands without being catched, without being prosecuted under the proper provisions of law, because this is a lake of the
Mm-hmm.
system. Everywhere
Mm-hmm.
the corruptions, and everywhere
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
go free
Yeah.
hands without being booked under these sections.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be
Mm-hmm.
taken care of. The government
Mm-hmm.
has to take care of all these loopholes, all these deeds,
Correct.
whatever the pollutions has been created by these companies.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
ev- So actually this environment protection is purely treated as a criminal offense, I would like to say.
Correct. Correct.
So summing up all this about Environment Protection Act, I'd like
Mm-hmm.
I have taken through you through the various sections. You might have got some
Mm-hmm.
idea about what exactly
Mm-hmm.
Environment Protection Act means. What exactly
Mm-hmm.
how the
Right.
means we can approach a judicial magistrate, how
Correct.
we can
Correct.
file a case against the polluters, against the
Correct. Correct.
violators of environment protections. What does Environment Protection actually says, and why it is called an umbrella act. I have taken
Correct.
you through.
Correct.
Now, next topic I would like to bring before you is one of the most interesting, that is Wildlife Protection Act 1972.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So where illegal
Correct.
trafficking, this in
Yeah.
this act,
Illegal
illegal
violence.
trafficking, ban of selling or trading this wildlife species, endangered
Wildlife.
species.
Endangered wildlife species. Right.
Yes, government has imposed a ban on these endangered species, killing,
Mm-hmm.
hunting, maiming,
Mm-hmm.
torturing. This
Mm-hmm.
so means you have to, means earlier it was it was said that you have to gain a license first of all for possessing an
Right.
animal or
Mm-hmm.
sale, transfer, etc. But nowadays it is not at all acceptable, and it has been
Mm-hmm.
completely stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So it was enacted in the year 1972. This act
Okay.
actually it was meant to provide safeguards to all flora and fauna that is in the country.
Right.
Main purpose of this act.
Mm-hmm.
So there are schedules. Schedule has been made. Schedule 1, Schedule 2 has been made under this act. We means endangered species has been
Mm-hmm.
listed.
Yeah.
Which are the
Schedule one,
species
schedule two.
which
Right.
are means to be protected by this Environment Protection Act.
Mm-hmm.
Now it also provides the establishment of wildlife sanctuaries and national parks. Under this act,
Mm-hmm.
these two portion, that is wildlife sanctuaries as well as national parks, are covered under this Wildlife Protection Act.
Correct.
So
Correct.
suppose killing an animal, a pet animal, is an offense.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you
Mm-hmm.
do any cruelty towards an animal, you can be booked under Section 11 of the Prevention of Cruelty of Animal Act. You can be booked.
Right.
So it is a
Right.
cognizable offense, and together with it, Section 428 and 429 of the Indian Penal Code is also applicable in
Okay.
this case. What does 428 and 429 of the Indian Penal Code says?
Mm-hmm.
Just like killing, maiming, poisoning, torturing is a completely a cognizable offense, and directly you can lodge an FIR at the nearest
Mm-hmm.
police station. So
Mm-hmm.
without
Mm-hmm.
approaching any forest officials or any
Correct.
magistrate or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
means collectors, any
Advocate.
deputy
Any
commissioner.
deputy commissioner.
So
Correct.
you advocate anyone. You
Mm-hmm.
can directly go to the police station and you can lodge an FIR.
Mm-hmm.
And in the if you lodge an FIR, then it is sure and certain there is a rigorous imprisonment which may extend to 5 years with fine also if you prove the case. If you prove the
Okay.
case. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
treating
yeah,
the
I
section.
mean, in this, I will just like to politely interrupt you out here.
Right.
In this one that you have mentioned, usually people do not know what to put in. Let's suppose you have seen certain incident, animal cruelty going on, but if
Mhm.
you cannot, name everything properly, like at this time, by this
Mhm.
person, I have seen this
Mhm.
person doing this to this particular animal,
Mhm.
and that has been witnessed by these people, then the when you're reporting about something, then it becomes even the very more legitimate for a police also to follow up on it. Then they would not be any kind of, but I believe there is another aspect to it also. Even though you don't put in everything,
Right.
I mean, it could be worked upon, right?
Mhm.
Later on, or probably added something more added to it. You can add it to it, right? Let's
Right.
suppose if
Right.
I try to launch a complaint
Mhm.
and I'm not able to do it, and certain things I've forgotten because I was
Mhm.
in distress, and
Mhm.
I immediately needed to go to the police and inform them immediately.
Mhm.
So if I forget something, can some changes be made to that particular, FIR or everything that I make? Because
See,
at that point of time, I might not be in.
once the FIR is lodged, you cannot means basically you cannot make any changes. So you have to be very
Okay.
particular about filing an Azahar or FIR.
Okay.
I'd like to say.
Mm-hmm.
So after filing an Azahar, you will become a complainant. or an informant,
Mm-hmm.
and your statement will be taken by the police, the
Mm-hmm.
investigating officer. It will be taken by
Right.
him, and then
Mm-hmm.
you will have to state the means missing part, means whatever you have missed out in the ejahar, whatever you have been left out in the ejahar, you can say
Mm-hmm.
in the statement and record the statement and send it to the court. The police of investigating
Okay.
officer will
Okay.
send it to the court. Okay. That
Okay.
is, there is a
Okay.
provision. There is a provision you can
Okay.
send it.
Okay. All
So
right.
so
Yeah, the reason I ask that,
mhm,
because people
mhm.
sometimes they are not able to say it properly, right? They are not
Right,
sure
right,
what to say. So that
right.
if they are putting in an effort, I mean, you should
Mhm,
be putting in the effort in the very right manner, in the what is applicable, what is accepted by the law, how it will be
right.
treated. A complaint has to be very proper with all the points and all the
Mhm,
nitty-gritties of what has happened,
mhm.
right?
Right, right.
Okay. Yeah.
So let me come to the point. That is means section 11, treating animal with cruelty. Means cruelty, it can be like beating, kicks, overrides,
Mm-hmm.
overloading the animals. So you cannot administer injurious substances to the animals. So these
Mm-hmm.
are all means comes under cruelty, like maiming,
Cruelty.
torturing, poisoning. This under comes under all
Mm-hmm.
this under section 11.
Mm-hmm.
So animal cruelty is has got a very rigorous. If anyone commits an animal
Mm-hmm.
cruelty in India, there is a
Mm-hmm.
rigorous punishment, which also comes under
Mm-hmm.
section 429, which I explained about.
Right.
So now illegal trafficking, illegal trafficking
Mm-hmm.
of wildlife, like hunting without permission, without permits, trading in wildlife,
Mm-hmm.
trading wildlife products like.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, there are many products of means environment, right? Sorry,
Right.
in of the animals
Of the animals,
like
right?
killing
Exactly.
elephants, one horn rhinos, okay, killing,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
will this will welcome a rigorous imprisonment of ranging from to 10 years. 10 years is certain about the imprisonment.
Okay.
Okay, and addition to that,
Okay.
fine is also imposed in the sector. Now, I would like to say the most illegally traded animals so far till
Mm-hmm.
2014,
Mm-hmm.
pangolin is one of the most illegally traded means traded mammals.
Trafficked
In
animals.
2014,
Right.
yeah, trafficked, yes. World Watch Institute has reported that most of these seized trafficked animal comes under the category of pangolins. The
Okay.
pangolins are
Mm-hmm.
means in Asia, in the black market, it is highly traded.
Mm-hmm.
20% of this has been recovered by this
Mm-hmm.
World Watch Institute.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
and
as
next,
per what we have heard, the points
Mhm,
in which it goes out from the northeast, I think it that's what we have been hearing from different reports and everything, that it's been going on from Arunachal, from Myanmar, then it has been going on from Churachandpur, from More,
mhm,
from these places.
mhm,
That's where the illegal wildlife trafficking is going on rampantly. And
right,
we are still not sure when is it going to end. I mean, there are so many wet markets also. I mean, you're
mhm,
killing an animal and you're selling it. I mean, every state might have a different law, but I don't know how much of this law is applicable to people, to when you go really deep into the forest where there no much of a civilization, where they're not very much
mhm,
aware about how. But yeah, very few places like that in Northeast nowadays. But yes, there are certain places that which are not explored yet. For, let's say, for Arunachal, the
mhm.
biggest one, it has not been explored that
Yes,
much.
right.
There are
Mhm.
many other places as well. I mean, the law is not applicable there. I don't know why is it not.
Right.
It should be. It should be, right?
Yeah, yes, right, right. So next,
So yeah. Hmm.
Honorable Delhi High Court has also uh, framed certain rules regarding that. It says that there is no law that prohibits people from feeding stray animals. We
Right.
definitely we come across very stray animals every day. Okay, we
Mm-hmm.
feed them, or if we maim them, or if we kill them, or if it, that is a heinous crime. Actually, I would like to say. Then the and feeding poisonous food to the stray animals is also is a criminal offense. So illegally injury causing any injury to the animals is also a criminal offense. Honorable
Correct.
Delhi High Court states that.
Mm,
So
mm,
next point I will come. is a means the NGOs, actually NGOs
Mm-hmm.
who are largely dependent on means are largely dependent to implement these rules and regulations framed by the legislation. Okay, these
Right.
acts should be means
Right.
these NGOs should follow all these rules and regulations framed by the they
Mm-hmm.
can they can
Mm-hmm.
there are many like prevention of cruelty of animals in 1960s which have been amended later on, and animal birth control dog rules 2002 or 2001, and Indian penal codes are there. So
Mm-hmm.
despite of this extensive your laws, some people
Mm-hmm.
still it can be seen that some people go free hands without getting being punished
Yeah.
under proper
Yeah.
section of.
True. True. True.
So so now there are many enforcement agencies also out there to protect the
Mm-hmm.
wildlife, such as
Mm-hmm.
police is there, then the forest
Mm-hmm.
department is there. Now wildlife
Mm-hmm.
crime control bureau is there, central bureau of
Mm-hmm.
investigation, customs are there to control all
Mm-hmm.
this. These are the enforcement agencies where we can
Mm-hmm.
approach to control the
Mm-hmm.
wildlife being illegally trained, maimed, poisoned, killed by the poachers. So these are the
Mm-hmm.
agencies where we can approach. Now, in the year
Correct.
2002, this Wildlife
Mm-hmm.
Protection Act was again amended and it came into force in
Mm-hmm.
January 2003 with more
Mm-hmm.
stringent punishment to these offenses.
Okay.
So
So many
there are
more added
schedules
to.
has been made,
Right.
many more added
Mm-hmm.
to it,
Mm-hmm.
and to getting for getting bail in this type of cases is a little bit harder, I would like to say.
Okay. No,
So
that's
you
good. I
have to
mean,
be, means
it
people
has to
should
be
be very
even more
much
strengthened
cautious.
further. Right.
Stringent actions will be taken against all the poachers and all
Mm-hmm.
means wildlife
Mm-hmm.
criminals, wildlife crimes
Correct.
has been
Correct.
if it has been
Correct.
committed. So
Correct.
in the while granting a bail, the public prosecutor must be given a chance
Mm-hmm.
to file his or her objection. Now the court
Correct.
will see the both the side,
Mm-hmm.
and the honorable court will, if it believes that there is a reasonable ground, if it is shown that there is a reasonable ground that this person will not commit any offenses, then and his detention is no further required, then he may be released on bail, otherwise not.
Okay.
So
Otherwise not. Okay.
otherwise no.
Okay.
Earlier what we this forest officials used to do earlier were intelligence to track the wildlife crime earlier, not now. Earlier it was there's 20% increase of the fines they were means
Mm-hmm.
awarded. 50%
Mm-hmm.
award was means announced by the government to catch the poachers, but nowadays it
Mm-hmm.
is not in practice, I suppose. So
Mm-hmm.
now the stringent actions taken by the government for the hardcore criminals
Mm-hmm.
who have committed these wildlife
Right.
crimes are
Right.
and they are evicted from these encroachment areas and from the protected belt.
Mm-hmm.
I would
Correct.
like they have been by after this amendment of this act, the stringent actions were taken against the poachers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now uh, there are certain things which actually, as for general awareness I'm saying, there are certain things so we should why when we can come across, we can implement, we can uh, protect the endangered species by creating awareness in the rural
Mm-hmm.
areas, especially in the uh, reserves, in the national parks, in the sanctuaries where there are means people who resides in that area. We have to create awareness
Correct.
that they
Correct.
are you being be the informant, you inform us if there is any poaching by the any
Mm-hmm.
illegal trading or killing is done in that area. So awareness
Mm-hmm.
is the best option that I would suggest. By
Mm-hmm.
creating awareness we can control it. We can means
Correct.
we have to grow plants also, and we can even pressurize our civil servants to take actions
Mm-hmm.
against the poachers, against the wildlife criminals. And
Correct.
so voluntarily we have to come out and save the
Mm-hmm.
wildlife from being
Mm-hmm.
extinct from this country. So
Correct.
there are means nowadays the high tech tools have been used to track the poachers, the wildlife
The
criminals,
drones,
like
they
drones,
all
DNA
GPS
tracking,
tracking.
and alarm
Mm-hmm.
fences, and still hidden cameras have been
Mm-hmm.
installed in various parts of the jungles and all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so I have taken you through the
Those are called camera traps. Those are called
camera
camera
traps.
traps,
Right,
which are
right, right.
also used for capturing images of wild
Mm-hmm.
animals or their behavior
Correct,
basically. And also it
correct.
helps in recognizing many poachers, also any kind of suspicious person coming into the
Right,
forest.
right.
They could get into that also.
Mhm. Now, one more judgment I would like to share, Manas. I would like to highlight
Mhm.
that is Honorable
Mhm.
Supreme Court in is has prohibited Jallikattu. You might heard about Jallikattu
Mhm.
and other animal races fights, where
Mhm.
fights with means has taken place in various parts of the country. So performing
Right.
that this certain discourse is prohibited by the
Mhm.
Honorable Supreme Court, where the court
Okay.
alluded Section 3 and Section 11, that is Prevention of Cruelty to the Animals,
Mhm.
1960,
Mhm.
where animal fight incited by the humans, you might be
Mhm.
knowing, incited by the humans are
Mhm.
illegal. Honorable Supreme Court
Mhm.
has stated
Clearly
in
mentioned.
his in their verdicts. Clearly, they have
Mhm.
alluded
Mhm.
in means to the Section 16 and Section 11 of the Prevention of
Right.
Cruelty, and it has been effective recently. So,
Mhm.
under the gas leak tragedy, I would like to discuss this Sriram factory. It is one of the historic case where
Mhm.
oleum gas was leaked from Sriram Food Fertilizers Limited, Factory Limited in
Mhm. Mhm.
1986. Here, the Honorable
Correct.
Supreme Court has ordered the management to pay compensation, and it was in fact the first case where the victim got the compensations
Okay.
who has suffered in this tragic
Okay.
incident. So these are the
Mhm.
case everyone should know. These are all the historic cases.
Right,
So
and these
recent,
corporate laws, these corporate cases are also very important because this has been going
right?
on in many corporates, and people
Mhm.
are aware of it, and they're like very scared to say something against if they see something wrong done by a very big organization. Usually, they're
Mhm.
very scared. I mean, either
Right.
they would not bother, or they do not know the laws. They do not know what
Mhm.
their willingness could do here. I mean, if you're really willing to work for the environment, I mean, we are not even talking about animals now. We are talking about entire ecosystem. If something
Ecosystem, right?
illegal they are doing there,
Mhm.
there's something bad for the
Mhm.
environment, they're doing it there.
Mhm.
So that is going to affect a lot of all of us. I mean, not only just one species. I mean, I would say
Right.
all the species.
Yes, we are also a
So yeah,
species, right? We are also connected to
exactly,
the
exactly.
environment.
And we are proving out to be very the new age dinosaurs, and we might go extinct, I think.
Yes, right.
Right.
So, in a recent case in a wildlife crime in Assam that took place in the court of Bijni, I would like to highlight. So,
Mhm.
wildlife crime that took place in Assam, honorable lower court in the Sirang district, especially convicted
Mhm.
5 persons in 3 separate cases, and so with 7 years imprisonment and fine of
Okay.
50,000. They have killed mongooses, dove, then barbet. They have also
Okay.
killed hare. So these
Hmm.
are the means cases. These are the landmark cases which the Honorable Court of Sirang, lower court of Sirang, has pronounced their judgment against these culprits.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
summing up all these judgments and all the sections and all the acts, I would like to say that
Hmm.
it is one of the most essential duty of every citizen of India to protect the environment, the wildlife being extincted, because
Right.
it is on the verge of extinction and the environment is being polluted, violated, and abused in
Right.
every possible manner
Right.
for some malified intention, for some
True. True.
wrongful gain. I can
Right.
say. So,
Correct.
so everyone should know about the environmental law, Wildlife Protection
Mhm.
Act laws.
Mhm.
So it is the bare eggs are very much handy in the market. One can purchase
Mhm.
it, one can go through it,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
as laymen should not be scared of means filing a case. So they
Right.
should come forward and
Mhm.
stop the illegal things that is going on inside means
Right.
in the
Right. I
environment.
mean, this is what people don't tend to understand. If you
No.
if you really want to make a difference, these law aspects, if someone is going ahead and doing something illegal for the which is against the rules set for the environment and the wildlife protection, right?
Right, right.
If you see someone doing it, it is equally a criminal offense like doing harm to a human being.
Mhm.
It is very similar that way. So people have to
Right.
understand that aspect, because if the animal, the bees and everything, I mean the our environment is not there, what are we going to do? So that is the, the call out, the shout out
Mhm.
that we are trying to give out here. That, please understand the laws, and it will continue
Right.
in
And
this particular pattern only.
yes.
And yeah, Bhaskar, you were saying something.
Mm. See, means in India, in country in India, there is a very poor convictions in wildlife crime acts.
Mm-hmm.
So means because cases are not being filed if a person sees any crime that has been means if the
Mm-hmm.
animals have been killed, or they cannot approach, they exactly knows, means they are very scared to approach any police stations, they are approached to
Hmm.
means approach any authorities. So my
Correct.
request, my humble prayer before to the NGOs, before the NGOs, to all NGOs, please means, come forward
Mm-hmm.
and encourage these
Mm-hmm.
people who are the resident of that area, create awareness as far as possible,
Mm-hmm.
so that these crimes may be stopped from being
Right.
done by all the wildlife criminals. So they can be booked
Correct.
under.
Correct.
There are various provisions, various sections are there, so they can be booked under that
True.
sections. So,
Correct.
Manas, thank
And that's very right. This is what
you.
people have to understand it. I mean, uh, to save the wildlife, you have to also protect it
Mhm.
by certain laws, right? There are certain
Right,
rules
right.
already made by the, by the government, by the
Yes.
judicial system that we
Mhm.
are all are under. So
Mhm.
to protect the wildlife, you also need to research on it, spread the awareness
Right,
also
right.
let people know what kind of steps you have to take. If you see something illegal
Mhm.
happening, okay, then this is the
Mhm.
step you got to take, and
Mhm.
that will link up to one thing to the other, because everything is linked out here.
Right.
If you don't do the research, you cannot understand what is going on, right?
Correct.
That
Correct.
how to save this particular species. If you do not
Mhm.
conserve it, if you don't go to places and spread the message and ask people to be
Mhm.
part of it, so your
Mhm.
point of view would not be, and that we would not be able to save the animals. Third,
No.
if you do not know
Agree.
the laws, that what laws are being
Mhm.
violated there, and how we can prohibit people from actually harming the environment that way, or the animals that way.
Mhm.
And the fifth thing is what to do in those scenarios, and how legitimate should you be. And if you see something wrong going on,
Mhm.
talk to a person. And I think the NGO should be coming up for this, because that is
Yes.
also being
Definitely.
entrusted by the Supreme Court. Even they're asking the NGOs to play
Mhm.
good bigger role in also
Mhm.
checking the government agencies as well, also checking any kind of
Mhm.
individuals
Mhm.
also who are involved in these kind of activities, and then report it to the
Correct.
police and take the procedure from there to the court. And there's an entire chain system of events, right, that we have to procedurally
Mhm.
go ahead.
Mhm.
So this is what I wanted to
Correct.
tell people again and again, that please know your laws. There are many laws
Mhm.
that are made for the
Yes.
environment, and there are many more we are going to speak about. Today's session was,
There are
I
many more,
think that today,
definitely. Yes.
yeah, there are many more sessions going to be, because we cannot be, just be fixated on this topic, and then everything about law is done. No, it cannot be done. So we have to keep going,
It
and
can be. And it's a
I
vast,
am
vast
looking forward,
answer.
Bhaskar. Thank you so much for this session. I mean, we are about to end as well,
Thank you, Manas.
and
Thank you
at
so
the
much.
same time,
Okay.
yeah. But before you go, there are certain things that we are also going to do, which is going to link up to this session. I mean, after this session, we have touched somewhat on the legal aspects of it, correct? After this session, we will be approaching
Correct.
people from the police department or police inspectors who get these kind of cases. And then we will approach forest guards or
That's
people
great.
from the
That's
forest
great.
officials to someone to come out to it. So everyone working in
Mm-hmm.
synchronized way, and everyone has their role to play here, right? As you have mentioned about the police
Right,
working
right.
together,
Definitely,
the
definitely.
press working together. And
Mm-hmm.
then comes the role of the media as well. The role of the media is of
Correct.
prime importance
Correct.
as well, because how the media is going to portray it, not only portraying the news which are related to other stuff, but why not this environmental laws also, that these laws are being violated. You should know more about these laws. Everywhere
Right.
there is, in a crisis situation like
Mm-hmm.
this, in a pandemic that we are living in right now, this is nothing but a doing of our own, right? I mean,
Correct. Correct.
just because of humans, right? I mean, if I say we, I will say
Mm-hmm.
humans. So yeah, and for to all the Assamese speaking lot, I mean, we are trying to do, we are trying to amalgamate the things together. But in this session, we might, because the flow of the discussion was as such, we had to stick to the English. But in the next sessions, we are trying to amalgamate Assamese and English and make it a bit more multilingual in next sessions with Bhaskar.
Correct, correct.
So
Okay,
I
fine.
think I would like to thank you so much again, Bhaskar, for this session. We'll definitely have
Thank
another
you so
session
much,
coming
Manas.
up
Thank you so much. It
with
was nice talking to you.
you. And
It was nice.
right, right, and thank you in the way that you have explained that, that how is it linking it up? How does it link up? What are the new cases? What are the things that we got to do here, right?
Great,
So,
great.
and also not being afraid. That is one of the most thing, and not being afraid and not being ignorant also. If you see something
Correct.
happening, please go report it. If you don't be afraid that if you
Report it
go
to
and report,
police.
something will happen. No, but report it to the police. Understand it. Why is it important? Your role, your decision in this point is going to make a difference. All right. Thank you so much, Bhaskar, for this, and we will
You're
definitely get
welcome,
back to
Manas.
you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Sure,
All right.
sure,
Nice
sure.
talking to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.